In the early 17th century, Europe was a cauldron of religious tension. In England, this unrest was particularly palpable, leading to the formation of a group of religious dissenters known as the Separatists. These individuals, later known as the Pilgrims, sought religious freedom and a chance to worship without fear of persecution. Their quest for a haven of tolerance led them to Holland, a country known for its relative religious leniency. However, life in Holland was far from easy. The Pilgrims faced economic hardship, struggling to make ends meet in a foreign land where their skills were not easily transferable. Additionally, the cultural clashes were intense, with the Pilgrims feeling their English identity was being eroded by the Dutch influence. These factors, coupled with an unwavering desire for religious freedom and self-determination, led the Pilgrims to make a momentous decision. They would seek a new life across the Atlantic, in the New World. So the Pilgrims arranged for a voyage across the treacherous Atlantic, aboard a ship named the Mayflower. September 1620, the Mayflower set sail from Plymouth, England. With a total of 102 passengers, the ship embarked on a daring journey across the tumultuous Atlantic. For 66 days, the Mayflower was battered by violent storms and relentless waves. Inside the ship, the conditions were far from pleasant. The air was damp and stale, the quarters were cramped, and seasickness was a common plight. During this arduous voyage, the passengers experienced the full spectrum of life and death. A servant named William Button succumbed to an unknown disease, becoming the voyage's only casualty. In stark contrast, a new life began on the Mayflower as Elizabeth Hopkins gave birth to a son, aptly named Oceanus. Amidst the chaos, the passengers came together to draft the Mayflower Compact, a document that would lay the foundations for their future governance. On November 21, 1620, the Mayflower anchored at what is now Provincetown Harbor. The Pilgrims had arrived, but the New World was harsh and unwelcoming. The winter air was biting, the landscape a barren white, and the Pilgrims found themselves in the throes of a brutal first winter. The frosts were sharp and relentless, the snow, an unending blanket smothering the land. The Pilgrims, unprepared for the harsh realities of the New World, struggled to survive. Their provisions were dwindling, their bodies, weakened by the rough voyage, were succumbing to the cold, and disease began to take its toll. The settlement was gripped by the icy hand of the so-called general sickness. Pneumonia, scurvy, and other diseases unknown to them ravaged their numbers. In the midst of this struggle for survival, they had their first encounter with the native inhabitants of the land, the Nauset tribe. The Pilgrims, fearful and desperate, initially clashed with the Nausets. However, an unlikely hero emerged from the shadows, a Native American named Squanto. Squanto, a member of the Patuxet tribe who had previously been captured and taken to England, was fluent in English. He served as a vital bridge between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. Squanto taught the Pilgrims how to cultivate corn, extract sap from maple trees, and catch fish in the rivers. More importantly, he helped broker a formal agreement between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Nation, led by Chief Massasoit. Squanto's intervention was not just a gesture of goodwill, but a lifeline for the struggling Pilgrims. His knowledge and diplomacy brought peace and cooperation between the two groups, offering the Pilgrims a glimmer of hope amidst their harsh reality. Despite Squanto's aid, the first winter took a heavy toll on the Pilgrims. By the time the frost began to thaw, and the first buds of spring appeared in 1621, only half of the Mayflower's original passengers had survived. Their dreams of a new life in the New World had come at a great cost, yet they persevered, fueled by hope and the promise of a brighter future. By the spring of 1621, only half of the Mayflower's original passengers had survived. After a successful harvest in the fall of 1621, the Pilgrims had a reason to celebrate. Having survived the harsh winter, battled sickness, and experienced the loss of many of their fellow settlers, the Pilgrims were ready to give thanks. But this was not a celebration they would hold alone. They were joined by 90 Wampanoag Native Americans, including their leader Massasoit. The feast lasted for 3 days, and was a true testament to the spirit of cooperation and camaraderie. The Pilgrims, who had initially been strangers in a foreign land, were now sharing their bounty with the very people who had helped them survive. The Wampanoag had taught the Pilgrims how to cultivate corn, extract sap from maple trees, fish in the rivers, and avoid poisonous plants. This feast, which we now refer to as the First Thanksgiving, was a symbol of unity and mutual respect. There was no set menu for this gathering. Instead, the attendees brought whatever they could: deer from the Wampanoag, and fowl and fish from the pilgrims. They shared their meals, their stories, and their traditions, creating a bond that would leave a lasting impact on their communities. But the first Thanksgiving was more than just a feast. It was also a peace treaty of sorts. The Pilgrims and the Wampanoag had agreed to assist each other in times of need, a pact they honored for more than 50 years. This period of peace, initiated by a shared meal, was a rare moment of harmony between European settlers and Native Americans. Looking back, it's easy to romanticize this event, but it's also important to remember the reality of the situation. The Pilgrims were far from home, in a land they didn't understand, among people they couldn't fully comprehend. Yet in this moment, they found common ground. They set aside their differences to celebrate life, survival, and the prospect of a peaceful coexistence. The first Thanksgiving marked the end of the Pilgrims' first year in the New World. The story of the Mayflower and the Pilgrims has become an integral part of American history and identity. It's a tale that has been told and retold, each time with a fresh coat of romanticism and mythology. Now it's all but impossible to disentangle the facts from the fiction, the history from the legend. Yet within this embellished narrative, there are kernels of truth that have had a profound impact on the collective American consciousness. The Pilgrim's story has been used time and again to espouse ideals of freedom, perseverance, and the pursuit of the American dream. Consider how the Pilgrims are often depicted. They're portrayed as brave pioneers, willing to risk everything for religious freedom. They left behind the comforts and certainty of their old lives in England, embarking on a perilous journey across the Atlantic to an unknown land. Their story is a testament to the power of determination and belief, a narrative that resonates deeply with the American ethos. Then there's the first brutal winter, a symbol of hardship and survival. The Pilgrims, unprepared for the harsh New England winter, suffered greatly. Half of them did not survive, yet they endured. This narrative of resilience in the face of adversity is another aspect of the American dream, the belief that with hard work and persistence, one can overcome any obstacle. And of course, there's the first Thanksgiving, a symbol of unity and gratitude. This event, where Pilgrims and Native Americans shared a feast, has been idealized as a moment of peace and cooperation. It's a powerful image that promotes the values of inclusivity, gratitude, and community. These narratives, while romanticized, have been woven into the fabric of American identity. They serve as a reminder of where America came from and the ideals it strives to uphold. The Pilgrims' journey on the Mayflower, their first brutal winter and the first Thanksgiving, all have become symbolic of the founding of America. 4 centuries later, the Mayflower's legacy continues to resonate. This vessel, once packed with 102 passengers dreaming of a better life, has become a symbol of hope, survival, and the birth of a nation. The Mayflower's voyage is not just a historical event, but a narrative that has permeated the fabric of American culture. The spirit of Thanksgiving, a celebration of gratitude and unity, is a direct descendant of the meal shared between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag tribe. Every 4th Thursday of November, as families across the United States gather around dining tables, the echo of this fateful feast is heard. Yet the Mayflower's legacy is not without complexity. It also heralds the onset of colonialism and its profound impact on Native American communities. The arrival of the Mayflower marked the beginning of a wave of European settlers, altering the landscape of North America and the lives of its original inhabitants. Today, it's crucial to recognize this dual narrative, to understand the courage of the Pilgrims alongside the resilience of the Native American tribes. The story of the Mayflower has inspired countless books, films, and works of art, becoming a cornerstone of American folklore. It has shaped the way America perceives its origins, painting a picture of determination, collaboration, and the pursuit of freedom. The voyage also paved the way for future immigration to the New World, setting a precedent of hope for those seeking refuge, opportunity, or simply a fresh start. It's a testament to the human spirit's unyielding resilience, the desire to overcome adversity, and the pursuit of a dream. As we reflect on the legacy of the Mayflower, we are reminded of the power of a single journey. A voyage that spanned 66 days and crossed the vast Atlantic has left an indelible mark on centuries. The Mayflower's voyage, a journey of hope and survival, remains a significant chapter in the story of America's inception.